And now, Lifestyles Unlimited presents the Real Estate Investor Radio Show. Over the next hour, we unfold your map to financial freedom. You'll learn how to retire through investing in single-family and multifamily real estate. You'll learn how to create cash flow and build wealth so you can have the time and money to live the lifestyle you want.
Welcome to the show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. I received a deal that came into my inbox yesterday afternoon, and I looked at this deal and I thought there's got to be a typo on this deal. Something's not making sense, because when I looked at what this property had the potential to do for my portfolio and to do for me as a real estate investor, this thing was literally a home run. So why do I think this property has the potential to be a home run or a touchdown? Well, here's why. You can buy this thing for 34 cents on the dollar based on what its after repair value is in the marketplace. Now, what do I mean by after repair value? It means that properties, when all fixed up in this particular location, are trading at a particular rate. In this particular case, this property should trade for $290,000 in the open market when it's all fixed up. But this property, it is not all fixed up. This property is what I would consider a train wreck. Yeah, imagine what a train wreck looks like. And I'm not poking fun at anybody that's been involved with a train wreck or has lost somebody to a train wreck, but a train wreck is a catastrophic event. It is not good. And this property, because I received pictures on this property is not good. Let me give you some more of the background on this property. It's in Tennessee. It's actually a duplex. So it's not a single family house. It's actually a property that has two residences within it. It has two separate entrances, and those properties, they don't interchange. There's no door in between the units so that people can go back and forth. They are two separate units, but they're all contained within one building. So it is a duplex. The layout of the property is each side has two bedrooms and one bath. The property square footage is approximately 1,425 square feet. So when you think about how big each individual unit is, it's a little over 700 square foot per side. Now, some of you are thinking, wow, 700 feet per side, that's kind of small, it's kind of dinky. Well, if you think about who your target audience would be to rent this property, it would be somebody that is probably transitioning from an apartment where they were probably living in a two-bedroom, one-bath apartment that was about 650 to 700 square feet, and they would be moving into this duplex, which is a little bit larger than 700 square feet. So the area within the structure, within the living area, is a little bit bigger, and this property is on a nice piece of land. So what does that mean? It means you have a place for your kids to play. It means you have space around you. It means you're not surrounded on all sides by other residents that are living in that complex. This property is on some acreage, and that's pretty cool. So the only other person you'd have to worry about is the person that would live in the other unit. So that, to a potential renter, is a very nice property to rent. But the problem with this property is it's not a nice place to rent. I mean, I'm looking at this property and I'm just kind of going, ugh, this thing is nasty. Now, let me just tell you about the exterior of the property. The exterior of the property doesn't look bad at all until you kind of zoom in on the siding on the property. And you know what's on the siding? Something called asbestos tiles. I know that those are asbestos tiles, not because it was located in the listing anywhere, but because I know what to look for, and I know exactly what asbestos tiles look like, and those are asbestos tiles. The other reason I know that is probably asbestos tiling on the exterior is this property was built back in 1943. Now, what was going on in 1943? America was at war. So this was a property that was built in the middle of the Second World War. When you look at the interior pictures of this property, I'm looking at the kitchen in one of the units, and it is painted in a avocado green color. And the other thing I'm noticing about the kitchen itself, first of all, it's missing some cabinets. The cabinets that are there, they're clearly from the 1940s. This property has really not been updated at all. Now, one of the other neat things about the kitchen on this property is that there's a window-mounted air conditioner in the property. But guess where it's at? It's sitting on the floor. It's not mounted in the window. It's just sitting on the floor. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. So that tells me that this unit, this house, this duplex, whatever you want to call this thing, it's kind of a train wreck right now. This thing is probably going to need some kind of central air conditioning. So that costs money to put that in. But I'm not afraid of that, and here's why. When I'm looking at the financials on this property, the after repair value of this property, meaning what it should trade for in the open market when it's all fixed up, is $290,000. Now, the realtor's assessment of what it's really worth in the present time and its present condition is right at $100,000. What that means is I could buy this property for literally 34 cents on the dollar based on what it's really worth when it's all fixed up. Now, you're probably wondering, okay, Al, you're teasing us. What does it cost to fix this thing up? And I'll give you my estimate right now, and you should be sitting down because it's a really big number. You ready for it? $113,100. Yeah, that's my cost estimate to improve this property. And some of you are going, whoa, man, that's crazy. That's a lot of money. I mean, where are you going to get $113,000 to do the repairs on this property? Simple. I'm going to get it from a hard money lender. So what that means is I'm not going to put $113,000 of my money into the asset. I'm going to go with a hard money lender that's willing to loan me 70% of the after repair value. And with that 70%, what I'm going to do is I'm going to purchase the property. So ching, there's $100,000 right off the bat. It's going to cost me a little over $113,000 to do the repair. So ching, there's some money right off the bat. I'm going to have about $10,000 in closing and holding costs. And you're probably wondering, okay, what is your out of pocket? How much money are you actually going to take out of your pocket to do this deal? Are you sitting down? $15,000. That's what my numbers are telling me. $15,000 to do this deal. So for $15,000 of my own money, I can take down an asset that's worth $290,000. I can take care of repairs that are worth $113,000. I can buy the thing for $100,000. And when the dust all settles, my cash out of pocket is only $15,000. Now, I would do all of the repairs. I would find two great residents to rent from me. They would be in Unit A and Unit B, or however the United States Post Office declares those units to be, because I want to be in conformity with postal law. And at the end of the day, I'm going to go out and refinance the property with a Lifestyles Unlimited vendor that specializes in conventional financing. I'm going to put my long-term financing on the property, and I'm going to make good money. Now, another neat thing about this property has to do with the cash flow potential. The cash flow potential on this property is enormous. It is enormous. So you're wondering, okay, what is the cash flow, Al? Because you've been saying that your target is you want a property to cash flow between $200 and $600 per month. And that would be true for a typical single-family property. For a duplex, I want it to cash flow between $400 and $1,200 per month. So what I do is I take the cash flow potential that I'd like to see for a single family, and I double it because it's a duplex. There's 2 units. So what's the cash flow, Al? $1,154. That gives me a cash-on-cash return of 92%. Now, you think about that. When you annualize $1,154, that works out to be just short of $13,900 per year. by buying this asset and putting $15,000 into the asset, I would get almost all of that $15,000 out of the asset just in the form of the cash flow in the first year. That's why this property is a screaming property. If I were to hold this property for a total of 5 years, my return on investment based on the 5 different ways we make money in real estate, which includes the cash flow, it includes the equity capture, and the equity capture on this property is $67,000. Yeah, it's $67,000. It includes the principal pay down. It includes natural appreciation. It includes the tax benefits of depreciation, which I use to offset my income streams on this property. Now, you ready for that number? At the end of 5 years, I project that this property would return an 1,100% return on investment based on a $15,000 injection of cash. This is why this is a screaming deal. This is what I would call the unicorn. It's the albatross. I don't know. Pick your own analogy for that amazing thing that doesn't come around a lot, except in the real estate world, the deal of the century comes around literally once a week. And this is what I would call a deal of the century. This is a touchdown deal. This is a home run deal. You can't expect to find this kind of deal every time you're looking at deals. But if you look at enough deals, you know what you will find? You will find that home run deal show up periodically. It does show up. It showed up in my inbox last night. Now, let me go back to the interior of this property, and let me go back to the kitchen area that I'm looking at. The paint is terrible. It's ugly. It's like that harvest green. What do they call that? Avocado green? I think it was called avocado green. That's what it looks like. It's got like avocado green on the cabinets, and then it has this pukey lime green on the walls. Those tones of green don't agree with each other, even though they're green. Now, some of the cabinets, they're not even green at all. There's some other color. And the kitchen sink itself, man, that thing is straight out of the 1940s. It is definitely an original sink. Now, I'm looking at the floors in the kitchen, and the floors have this really ugly, like paste-on vinyl tile. It is nasty, it is ugly, it is dirty, it is marred up, and it needs to go. But here's what I found out about this property when I looked at the pictures. The rest of the floors within this property are the original hardwood floors. Now, they don't look like they're in very good condition. As a matter of fact, they look like that somebody has walked around on these things for the past 80 some odd years. But here's what I know about hardwood floors. They are real easy to bring back the luster to, and they make for a beautiful, beautiful presentation to the property. When we come back from the break, more on this nasty duplex. Stick around.
Got questions? Call Lifestyles Unlimited at 855-497-4335. The Real Estate Investor Radio Show continues next.
Stop waiting. Stop sitting around. Stop procrastinating. This is your time. Make it happen. Do it now. When's the best time? Now. People go, well, I don't know. It's going to crash. It's going to be better next year. I've got to listen to 4 more classes. I love guys come up to me all the time. You know, I've been listening to you on the radio for 8 years now, right? I go, and you're not rich yet? Well, really, I'm thinking about joining next month. Do it now.
Learn the skills you need to retire with real estate in 5 years or less. Do it now. Register for the Lifestyles Unlimited free online workshop, lifestylesunlimitedworkshop.com.
Creating the lifestyle you've always wanted. You're hearing Lifestyles Unlimited's Real Estate Investor Radio Show.
Welcome back to the second half of the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show. My name is Al Gordon, and as always, I'm working on your financial freedom. And I'm kind of giddy today because I'm talking to you about what I would consider a property that most people would look at and they would say, that property is junk. But as I look at the pictures of the exterior and the interior of this property, it becomes very clear to me that this property is mostly 80 years old. And you're going to have to eject about $113,000 into this property to bring it new life. But this property will be worth $290,000 in the market once it is fixed up and brought into the modern times. You can buy this property for about $100,000. That's really all it's worth in its present condition. The after repair value of this asset is $293,000, meaning you're going to capture $67,000 of additional equity in this property. Now get this, because when you become a Lifestyles Unlimited member, you will understand how to buy this property correctly, and you will take advantage of something called a hard money loan. And by using that hard money loan, you're going to be able to buy the property and take care of almost all of those costs, everything but about $15,000. So what that means is the amount of money you're actually going to inject into this property from your own pocket is only $15,000. This property financially is a touchdown. You are poised to make an 1,100% return on investment at the end of a 5-year hold on this property. I care about my residents. I care about the people that are going to come and look at this property to potentially rent it. And here's why I care. This is not the only property that those people are looking at. Those people are looking at the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, if they looked at this property right now in its present condition, they would say, this is the ugly. They would mark it off their list. But if they looked at the property after I've completely remodeled the property, I've breathed new life into the property, they're going to look at what I consider the good. They're not looking at the ugly. They're definitely not looking at the bad. They're looking at the good. And why I want them to look at the good is I want them to keep this property in consideration because I want to enter into a long-term contract with these people. That's called a lease, by the way, where they're going to pay me 1/3 of their income to live there. Yeah, you didn't know that rent is effectively about 1/3 of the income of the people that rent the properties. That's pretty much the industry standard. Now, depending on where you look, it could be 25%. In some areas, it might even be 50%, but about 1/3 is the sweet spot. So when somebody is looking to spend 1/3 of what they make on where they live, they're going to be picky. And they're going to compare apples to apples, and any oranges that show up, they don't want to look at unless they're looking for oranges, in which case they will discount the apples. Does that make sense? The other thing that I want them to experience is I want them to experience in their mind what it's like for them to live in the property. And if the property is presentable, if the property looks nice, if the property feels like home to them, guess where they're interested in renting? This is part of what we call the best product at the best price mentality. That is something we teach you as a Lifestyles Unlimited member. We teach you how to create the best product, and that allows you to bring in the best price for that asset. And ironically, it allows you to attract the best people because you can be selective on who rents from you. And if you are offering the best product at the best price in the marketplace, you will attract the best people. And that is part of our formula for success at Lifestyles Unlimited. Now, let me get back into these numbers because I told you I was going to do that. The property's after repair value, in other words, when it's all fixed up, is $290,000. $290,000, but you're only spending $15,000 of your own money to acquire this asset. Now, you're going to spend well over $100,000 to rehab it because this property is going to take well over $100,000 to do the deal. As a matter of fact, my estimate says $113,100 to do the repairs. So what kind of repairs am I looking at? I mean, I'm looking at roof. I'm looking at dealing with the asbestos shingles on the exterior. I'm looking at putting HVAC on both sides. I'm looking at replacing the windows. I'm looking at plumbing, paint, new cabinets, new appliances. I'm looking at basically a complete remake of this property, which is why it's going to cost so much money to do the rehab. But in the current marketplace, that property is only worth about $100,000. In other words, that's all it would appraise for in the marketplace in its present condition, because this thing, well, it's junk. It's junk right now, but it's not so junky that it can't be rehabbed and turned into a beautiful place where two families would call home. Now get this. The purchase price of $100,000 in relation to the after repair value of $290,000 means that you're buying the asset at wholesale pricing. What's that wholesale pricing? Well, it works out to be about 34 cents on the dollar. You're effectively spending 34 cents on the dollar for the after repair value. Now, the repair costs, they're a little bit higher. They're like closer to about 39 cents per dollar. But at the end of the day, once you factor everything in, you're still capturing equity. That's additional equity in the asset because you're only into the asset for $223,000. You're capturing $67,000 in additional equity over and above the $15,000 that you put into the real estate deal. That gives you a lot of equity. I'm talking $82,000 of total equity in this property. Can you see why I'm so excited about a property? Because I'm trained as a Lifestyles Unlimited member. I know that this property can be brought up to modern standards. And I know that the marketplace is demanding properties like this. And here's another neat thing about this property. Back in the 1940s, when they were building these properties, they were putting these properties on plots of land that are much bigger than the plots of land that you can buy. If you go out and buy a duplex today, brand new construction, how big is that plot of land underneath that property? It's what we call a postage stamp lot. It is a very tiny lot. It is only big enough to meet whatever code requirements are in place by that municipality or by that county at the time. Now, back in the 1940s, land plots were bigger. This land plot that this property is sitting on is bigger. And here's the other thing that I discovered when I was doing my due diligence on the property. The zoning on the property would allow me to put, now get this, 2 more units on the property because the zoning is based on the square footage of the underlying land. And what it allows for is a certain number of units per square footage of land, meaning I have potential to build 2 more units if I want to do that on the property, which makes the property an even more attractive investment opportunity. Now think about it. I could turn 2 units into 4 units without buying an additional property. All I would have to do is go through the permitting process and get my architect on board to design an additional 2 units that would go on this property, making this property effectively a fourplex. Yeah, a fourplex. Now, I'm not into new construction. I don't do new construction, but I think that the opportunity is great because here's the other thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at the future of the property. I'm looking at the fact that in 5 years, the return on investment is around 1,100%. That's amazing. But after 5 years, the property will have worn down a little bit, and it might be time for me to dispose of the property. But think about this. What if I marketed the property as 2 units that you could build 2 more units on? Do you think that there might be an investor out there that's looking for that type of asset? And I'm here to tell you, those types of investors are out there. I know those types of investors. And not all of those types of investors are Lifestyles Unlimited members. There are many people that are not Lifestyles Unlimited members that are investors in real estate that would gobble this property up. Now, the reason they're not gobbling it up is because they are not connected the way I am, because I am connected to a team of realtors that provide me these opportunities. They don't broadcast these opportunities to the world. They broadcast these opportunities to me and my fellow Lifestyles Unlimited members that have elected to ask for these opportunities. It's a pretty neat situation. So you're probably wondering, okay, Al, how do I do this? I'm hooked. I think I understand what you're telling me. This property is a home run, and I would like to put a home run in my portfolio. How do I go about doing it? Well, the easiest way to get started, and I'll be very clear with you, the easiest way to get started is to go to lifestylesunlimited.com. When you get to lifestylesunlimited.com, what I want you to do is I want you to click on the box that says Join Free Workshop. Now, you're not going to join a free workshop that's actually in progress. That would be kind of silly because you would miss some of the content, right? What it's going to do for you is it's going to give you the opportunity to sign up for a future free workshop. And that free workshop is presented by a Lifestyles Unlimited member who has success in investing in properties, and they're going to walk you through the mindset change that you need to go through. They're going to show you how we buy single-family properties. They're going to show you how we buy multifamily properties, and they're going to go through the 5 different ways we make money in real estate, kind of what I did in today's show, but in a little bit more detail. And then they're going to give you the opportunity to become a Lifestyles Unlimited member. I will tell you that when you become a Lifestyles Unlimited member, the game changes. So go to lifestylesunlimited.com, sign up for that free workshop, and let's get you going.
The information and opinions you hear on the Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show are those of the hosts, guests, and callers. The Lifestyles Unlimited Real Estate Investor Radio Show is for entertainment purposes only. Please consult a professional regarding your personal investment needs. Nothing presented constitutes an endorsement, recommendation, offer, or solicitation to buy or sell any product or security.